Welcome to the first episode of the Everyday Expert Podcast. I'm your host, John Knieper. Each episode I'll be interviewing a guest on a topic that they are either knowledgeable or passionate about. My first guest on the show is David Goward, and the topic we cover is all about movies. A quick disclaimer before starting the podcast, Dave was using the speakers during the podcast, so there are some times where you can hear my echo on his mic. I was able to cut out most of it, but there is still some echo at times throughout the podcast. It's not Dave's fault, though. This was a first for both of us, and there's always going to be bugs to work out whenever you try anything new. So considering all the things that could have went wrong, I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. Are you ready for the podcast?
I'm ready, John. I've never been, interviewed before. Let's see how this goes. I'll try to... Now, is this the first... is this the first one that you're doing?
Yeah, this is the very first one.
Oh, geez, John, you might have wanted to get a better guest for your first
one. Yeah, no, you're definitely brave for being the first one, because I think I'll probably be messing up a lot too, but we'll see.
All right, well, let's do this thing. Ow.
All right, well, thanks for coming on to the very first episode of the podcast, Dave. And you mentioned that you wanted to talk about movies, and I was actually pretty excited for this podcast because something I really like doing is with music, listening to a ton of different artists and different music. But with music, it's easy because the songs are so short, and then also you can be doing stuff around the house at the same time. And I would like to do that with movies, but there's just such a time commitment, and you have to only be watching the movie. So I'm really curious about how you find new movies and how you know what to watch.
Yeah, as far as finding new stuff to watch, one of the two of the main things that I look at, if I watch a movie and I like it, I'd look at who wrote it, who directed it, and then I'll just look up their filmography and basically just read about what they've done or some of the other stuff that they've done, and just kind of go from there. But also just reading about just movies and in general. I mean, you find some of the biggest people. You hear read about who was influenced by who. You just kind of go from there.
So if there's a movie you would like, let's say you like the way it was written, you would find the writer, look at some other work they've done, but then also look at who influenced them.
Yeah, so I don't know, just an example of just watching. I watched, what was it? Oh, Adaptation, I think was the first movie I saw by Charlie Kaufman. And I was like, wow, really like this movie. What else? This was something I haven't seen before. What else has this guy done? And then just kind of looked at, oh, well, he had a movie before this, and he had 2 movies after that at the time. Or, well, he had more, but 2 really good movies after that. And just kind of go from there. But then, I don't know. But, people always say, well, if you read about Scorsese, he'll give a huge list of movies you should watch, or his top. There was an article that he wrote an essay, actually, or this week about streaming services, and then another article came out about him right after about his top 15 gangster movies that he's seen, and of course it's everything from the 30s to the 50s, so they're all older, and I've seen some of those. But then every list basically says that, if you look at what are the top 50 movies of all time or whatever, the top 3 is always going to have Citizen Kane and The Godfather. So I watched The Godfather. I was all right, yeah, it's amazing. It's not my top 10. It's really good, but it's not as entertaining as some other movies. But yeah, and if everyone tells you, wow, the Beatles are the best band ever, and you go years without listening to the Beatles and you're constantly still hearing it, you should probably go like, maybe I should actually listen to the Beatles because everyone's telling me that it's amazing. So after reading about Citizen Kane for years, I was like, oh, well, I should probably get around to actually, spending 2 hours to watch this movie.
Yep, I'm exactly the same way. For instance, you told me once about Nathan For You, and I think it was just like, oh, hey, I've been watching Nathan For You, and it's a really funny show. You should watch it. And it wasn't much more than that. But since you recommended it, as soon as I got home, I instantly started downloading them and watched it. I'm like, oh, this is, amazing. This is really hilarious. But yeah, if I just kind of said, oh, yeah, yeah, and then never, actually followed through and downloading it and watching it, then I would have never even known about it because that was the only time I've ever even heard of the show.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, yeah, that show is great. And you actually reminded me to watch How To with John Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
which I watched the first 3 episodes. I really liked it. I think there's like only 3 more episodes. I was surprised. There's only 6 episodes, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty short. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really good. But yeah, it is weird how like like you said, like with song, like with music, if somebody says, "Yeah, check out the song out," you're like, "Okay, yeah, cool, let's go for it," and it's 3 minutes. But if somebody says, "Check out a movie," you're like, "All right, well, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I gotta have time, busy, because you gotta sit down, you gotta sit down and watch. I mean, you could like if you're watching some shitty superhero movie, like yeah, you can have your phone out and walk away for 10 minutes and come back and be like, okay, yeah, I didn't really miss anything. But if you're actually gonna watch something good, you're gonna need to pay attention.
Right. And I guess you're kind of taking the person's word for if it's good or bad. And I'm sure some people give recommendations like, oh, you should really check out the Fast and Furious or something like that. Or it's like, you know that their recommendations probably aren't that great.
Yeah.
And then you end up wasting a bunch of time watching a movie that's not good. I guess, is there any people online or in person that you really like? If they recommend a movie, you definitely make sure to watch it because their recommendations are good.
Well, not really. I mean, the vast majority of people that I know I don't really have the same tastes in movies with. So like, someone, I will say though, like Adam, he has good taste in movies. So like if he recommends something, I'll try to check it out. But no, I don't know. No. And then as far as like online people, not really. I just kind of go more by, like I said, just like kind of just looking at who wrote or directed it, go from there. And then I mean, I really like reading about the history of things. So like looking at how it was made, when it was made, again like who was in it or who was a part of it. So like if something has like a good backstory, I'll check it out. But mostly just I've created like a giant list and like I know like in my head things that I need to watch or check out, and I probably have enough for a long time to still get to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is how do you track all the movies that you've watched and want to watch? You just have like on a Word document or is there some kind of app or something that you use?
No, I don't do anything with that. I mean, if it's good, I'll remember it. I mean, there's probably movies that I've seen that I forgot about because it wasn't really memorable. But I know during like when COVID first hit, like I did kind of just keep a note in my phone of like all the movies that I was watching. But I don't know. I didn't really think there was much of a point to it because even looking back at that list, there was some that were memorable and then there were some that weren't. So I kind of already forgot about them.
Gotcha. So I guess how do you list out like what you want to watch then?
How do I what?
How do you list out what you want to watch and keep track of that?
Oh, like well, okay. So like for a while, it was trying to get through like Scorsese's whole filmography, trying to get through David Lynch's whole catalog, trying like picking one person and going like, all right, well, I've only seen like a handful of their stuff or some of their stuff. It's, let's just get through, or not get through all of it, but let's watch the rest of it and see if the rest of his stuff is as good or something different. Stuff like that. I mean, if pretty much through the whole quarantine period, I mean, I watched like everything David Lynch has ever done. Watched a bunch of Scorsese stuff, bunch of other different stuff, but those are like the two main ones.
Okay, yeah. So especially with David Lynch, would you rewatch a lot of the movies or shows? Because I know Twin Peaks has so many little, or I guess I should say it's just so complicated that you almost need to watch it multiple times in order to catch everything.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very complicated. I still don't quite understand everything fully about Twin Peaks. I'm not really sure if anybody does. I'm not even sure if David Lynch does at this point. I haven't like rewatched Twin Peaks. I have watched Mulholland Drive twice, and I think I watched The Elephant Man twice, but everything else I've only seen once. But
Why'd you watch those movies twice?
The Elephant Man, just cause I don't know, it just kind of came up, and I was thinking about it one day, and then I was actually reading about the Elephant Man's life. I think it was his name, John Merrick or Joseph Merrick. I don't know, but I was just reading about him, and I was like, man, I haven't seen that movie in a while. So just kind of watched it. But Mulholland Drive, I watched again because the coworkers that I have at my job, we started like a movie club. Like every couple weeks, we'll go to somebody's house and watch a movie, and they're all picking like I mean just overly produced Hollywood in your face movie. Like one was like some shitty Ryan Reynolds action movie. One was like a direct to video like shitty thing, and it was my turn, and I was like, I am over these movies. I'm picking something fucked up that they're gonna have no idea what the fuck is going on, and I'm gonna find it so funny. So I picked Mulholland Drive because of that, because that was one of the just mind-bending movies I've ever seen. I loved it, so picked that, and it worked. I mean, they didn't understand anything that was going on, so that worked.
But was it almost like too over their head where they're just like, all right, I gave up?
Yeah, like they threatened to kick me out of the movie club when they openly said how much they hated it several times to me. And for days after that, why would you pick that? We're trying to have a good fucking time after work, and you're picking something like that. Yeah.
But are you frustrated though that they don't really get it?
It's frustrating to me that, like, not that they don't get it, because I mean, it is confusing. It's a very confusing movie. Again, I'm not sure that I fully understand it. Like, I don't understand the meaning of the blue-haired woman in the theater when she's sitting up top. She's the closing shot in the end. I don't know what that means. I don't know what a lot of stuff in that movie means. I know that I like it, and I know that it's different, and it stuck with me for days after, probably even a week after that movie stuck with me. Just trying to piece it together, trying to figure things out, and just like not even just the individual parts of it that were interesting, but it's entertaining, and it's something that's good, and it's different than. But it's frustrating to me that people that only watch shitty action movies or the big blockbusters, that's like everything is just straightforward. You don't got to think at all. It's all just wrapped up in a bow and handed to you nicely, and everything works in the end perfectly, and you go home.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. So like, yeah, the Mulholland Drive like really got the brain, got the gears turning, got you really thinking about it for over a week. Meanwhile, all the coworkers, they just kind of want the junk food, just something easy, quick, don't have to think about it.
Yeah, that Ryan Reynolds, look at him. He's shooting a gun, and no, he's driving a car now. This is interesting. Oh, and look at there. He fell in love in the end. That's amazing. Yeah. Is it?
Yep, I hear you. I hear you. Like I said, I'm the same way with music, and I've eventually now learned, like, when I'm at a party or something, don't be the DJ, don't play any of the music that you like, because everyone's just gonna be like, this sucks and they're not gonna get it. So
I don't know. I thought you. I mean, the music choices at the what was it last weekend? That was good.
yeah, thanks, Dave. But yeah, I know I've learned just play the Post Malone and 21 Pilots playlist and some Drake in there. Everyone will be happy. But yeah, I think the analogy kind of sticks the same way though, where it's simple, predictable. People like it more. Something I was thinking about just the other day is I know that there's a lot of like movie cults, especially for sci-fi and superhero movies. Are you involved in any kind of movie cult groups?
I don't know if I'm involved in a cult. I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know. I mean, like there was a as far as like a movie finding like cult status. I mean, something like The Room had cult status because of how shitty it was, but it lived on for so long. So like that. I mean, that's just a hilarious movie. I mean, something like I mean, not to just talk about Twin Peaks, but like Twin Peaks definitely probably had like a cult status. Like it was on for 2 years in the early '90s, and it was off the air for 25 years, and then it came back. And I don't know, maybe that would count. I'm not sure because it was like insanely popular for a short amount of time.
Yeah, that was crazy how David Lynch had the, I guess, hindsight to end the show saying meet back in 25 years, and then 25 years later they reboot the show.
But the thing was, he didn't end the show. The show was canceled, so that was not 100% planned for sure.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't get that. Okay.
Yeah, no, the show was canceled, and because like I don't know if you read about it, but like they David Lynch and Robert Frost, I was it Robert Frost or Mark Frost? I forgot the other guy's name, but the idea was to never solve Laura Palmer's murder. It was just going to be this long, ongoing thing, and then eventually it would just fall in the background, and the main story would just kind of change. But since that was like the thing that caught on, the network made them solve the murder, which then led to the end of the show. Because after, I don't know if you remember, but season two completely fell off. Like there was like a good chunk of episodes in the second season that just sucked.
Yeah, I
Nuts.
I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it, and then I was kind of looking online about like, hey, why is season two so much different than season one? And I seen some of the same things that the network was just forcing them to, well, do the same thing as we were talking about with the movies, just kind of wrap it up with a bow.
Yeah, and there's a book called Lynch on Lynch that I read. It's basically just like this one interviewer, just throughout David Lynch's career, has interviewed him for each project. And when he was talking about Twin Peaks, like he said, after he was forced to solve the Laura Palmer murder, he basically left the show and just had no part of it. And he came back for like the last two episodes, realized that the people they brought in fucked everything up. So he was like, "All right, everybody's gone. I'm fixing this thing." And then he did like the last two episodes, and the last two episodes were. I don't know if it was the last two or the last one, but the last episode for sure was awesome. But then it got canceled, and then he did the movie, and just then it was 25 years later. Season three happened.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't even know that whole background. That's crazy. And I guess in that case, I know that afterward you watched all of David Lynch's filmography, but is Twin Peaks one of those shows where you also try to look at if there's any other shows like Twin Peaks made by other people?
I don't really know if there is another show like it. I don't like. I mean that Google search has definitely happened, but from what I've read, I mean, I don't know anything like it. I know there was some things on like Reddit that I saw was like maybe like the X Files or I don't know some other thing, but even then, people other comments I read were like, no, they're not alike. It's just maybe some similarities, but no, something like that I think is pretty original and just out there, and there's just a lot of elements to it. I certainly haven't seen anything like it before or after that.
So, is there any other directors like David Lynch where their talent is just unmatched, where there's nothing really like their films? I know you mentioned Martin Scorsese. I don't know if he would be in that camp as well. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like originality, I would say Charlie Kaufman, Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, even Wes Anderson has like his unique visual style and certainly his writing style as far and then just the view of his movies. But like Charlie Kaufman, I love his movies just because of the writing of the movies. I love the stories.
What movies has Charles Kaufman done?
His first movie was Being John Malkovich.
Oh,
After
okay.
that, did Adaptation, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's one of my favorites. And then he did Schenectady, New York, and then Anomalisa. Then actually, he had on Netflix this last year a movie called I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Okay. Well, yeah, I watched. I'm thinking of ending things. Oh, I guess what did you think of that movie? Because I watched it with Kylie too, and that's one where I was probably one of those people that were like, I don't get it and lost interest because I was kind of not really paying attention to it at the beginning either, so I might have been missing some of the setup.
I think that's definitely a movie that it requires like a second viewing. Because the first time I watched it, I was pretty disappointed, and like because I was waiting on that movie for fucking years too. Because it was announced that he was doing a movie for Netflix, and just a couple years went by just waiting for it. And it finally came out. Like I had huge expectations because I was just a huge fan. And then 10-minute car ride scene later, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Let's get to something. And then like I don't know. There was like the first time I watched it, there are certainly parts of it that I enjoyed, but the ending really threw me off. Like as soon as they left the parents' house, basically, I was like, I don't understand what's going on. It's very weird. There's parts of it that I like, but it's very weird. But the second time I watched it, I think it made more sense. Like I don't know. The second time I watched it, I definitely liked it a lot more.
Like just the second time you watched it, everything started clicking and making sense.
Yeah, certain things started making more sense. The ending, after thinking about it for a little bit more, the ending kind of made more sense, or I liked the ending more. I don't know. I think it was just the first time I watched it. I just had certain expectations going into it, and because it was so different than even anything he's done before, his stuff is original and different. But then waiting and having those expectations, and then finally watching it and being like, "This is different. This is weird." I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of what it should be." But I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe I'll have to go back and give it a rewatch then.
I mean, it's not my favorite thing he's done, but it's definitely not as I don't know. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not like terrible.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so that's fun that you mentioned being John Milkovich being by this guy because I watched that a few years ago and I really liked it, but then that was it. I didn't go back and look to see who wrote it, who directed it, and things
Yeah,
like that.
Eternal Sunshine is one of my favorite movies, and he wrote that. He also did Adaptation. That movie is amazing as well.
Okay, I know that a long time ago I watched Eternal Sunshine, and well, I once again I wasn't really paying close attention, and then I didn't really get it. But I think a lot of that too is just age. I've noticed that things that I watched 5 or 6 or 7 years ago that I thought were really good back then, and rewatching them now, I think suck, or vice versa. Movies that I didn't get now, I'm like, oh man, these are really good. I just didn't have the maturity to really understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I would like throughout junior high and high school, I bought so many DVDs, not realizing what was going to happen with like streaming services. So I have in my grandpa's basement just large sized moving boxes of DVDs just filled. And yeah, I mean, and most of them I wouldn't even watch anymore because I'm just like, I can't believe, and like probably 70% of them are just shitty comedy movies. And even during, like, when COVID hit, I was going through like Amazon. I just couldn't decide what to watch. How you just sit there and flip through everything for like an hour. I was like, oh, fucking, I remember in high school watching the movie Ted and laughing my ass off. Fuck, and just thinking this was so funny. I saw it on Amazon, I don't know, earlier in 2020 when during COVID quarantine. Watched it again, and I just was disgusted that I thought this movie was funny. I didn't laugh once, and I was like, "This is what I liked. I must have been a complete dickhead." I think no, there was one part where they made fun. They made like a Jewish joke, and I laughed because it was funny. But I don't know. Some of it was just, and then I don't know, just major problems with the story structure. But yeah, I mean, that's just one example. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of those comedy movies that I watched in high school where like that was basically all I watched during that time. And I'm sure if I were to go back through most of them, I'd be like, I can't believe I've seen this probably 5 times. Just
Yep, I'm in the same boat. I remember I thought dubstep was the best music ever back in high school. So we've all been there, Dave.
yeah.
Oh, when you were mentioning how you loved the comedy movies, I was the same way. Where in high school, I thought I loved all these comedy movies, but now I don't know if it's just they don't age well or something. And I think being part of in high school, it doesn't help. But I just for some reason comedies, and I haven't really found any comedy movies I've liked in the past couple of years.
I mean, totally. I don't think a lot of them age well. A lot of them don't age well. Just I mean, I mean, you adapt, your tastes change, maybe your sense of humor changes, but yeah, like I can't remember the last comedy movie that I like legitly laughed at. Like something like Goodfellas. I think that is one of the funniest movies ever, and it's not a comedy. It's a fucking gangster movie, and that movie is hilarious. But it just yeah, actual comedy movies that they make and put out, I can't remember the last one I laughed at.
Yeah, have you ever tried looking through in the past couple of years like any like low budget comedy movies? Because I think that's a big problem with it is all these for the big comedy movies they're investing millions and millions of dollars and all those investors might hear some racist joke or something like, "Oh, we can't do that." And just keep watering it down and then it ends up not being funny at all. So I wonder if some low budget movies still kind of have that magic.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean I haven't seen them. I haven't. I don't know. Have you seen any?
No, that's why I was kind of asking you because something I want to talk about too is just the time commitment, which is I don't want to also have to go through a bunch of crappy low budget movies just to find that one good low budget movie.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as like low budget or indie movies, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably haven't seen as many as I should. I know I haven't, but also like I don't know where to. That's one where like I don't know where to start, or I don't know which ones to see. I mean, there's been like indie dramas that I've seen, like low budget dramas that I've seen that I liked, but as far as comedies, no, I don't know.
One that I thought of is a couple years ago. I don't know if it was at a brouhaha or something else, but one of the comedians was selling a movie that he made, The King, and Kylie bought the DVD for $5 or whatever. And I thought she was wasting her money. I thought there was no way that it would be good if it was just, I don't know, just a one. He said he like pretty much just did it himself. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. It actually turned out to be really funny. It was hilarious. And once again, that was just a movie that no one's probably ever heard of.
Hmm. It's called The King.
The King.
Hmm.
Yeah, we played it at my house one time with friends over. You must have not been over that day.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
That might be one where we'll have to have a rewatch of it.
Well, I remember we watched this. Was it called The Stuff?
Oh yeah, the stuff.
That was. I mean, that was pretty. I mean, that was. I don't know if it was made to be a comedy, but that was pretty funny. There was a movie by Tim Heidecker. I don't know if you've ever seen like his show called On Cinema at the Cinema.
Yep, I watched a lot of those.
So him and Greg Turkington they made a movie. I think it was called Mr. America. It came out a couple years ago. It was like a movie that was like based on the show, but I mean, I read that movie they've shot in like a week or something, and just quickly made it, and I thought that was like super funny. But I mean, that also had Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington in it, so that definitely helps. But I don't know, yeah, other indie movies I've been listening.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't stumble across that because I watched quite a few of those on cinemas at the cinemas, but I didn't know if they had a movie. So yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's on Hulu, and I think it still is.
Oh yeah, speaking of Hulu, do you have multiple streaming services that you use, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I have. Well, I mean, I use Corey's Netflix. I have Amazon, and I have Hulu. I don't really use Hulu that much, but yeah, I have. Yeah, I have Amazon and Netflix, and yeah, I mean those are the two that I primarily use.
Gotcha. If there's any movies that aren't on either of those services, do you just pirate them, or what do you do to get those movies?
I don't know if I would exactly say that I would pirate a movie, John. That's illegal, but definitely would use the computer to watch things. You go to certain websites and watch things, but yeah, I mean, if I can't find, if it's not on Netflix or Amazon, I'll just watch it on the computer.
Yeah, that's my thought. If you you can't have it on Netflix or Amazon, well, it's not getting downloaded. So
It's fair game to be downloaded. Don't get mad at me.
yeah. Should have made a deal.
Shouldn't have put on, that new Nanette special. Maybe put on something worth watching. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No kidding. With all the shows that Netflix puts on with that are like one or two seasons and then they cancel them. I guess have you noticed that? Like just a ton of shows on Netflix getting canceled after like one season.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really watched probably many of them, but I have noticed that like they've made a lot of shows that have just been canceled after like one or two seasons. But I mean, are they good? Like that's what I don't like. Are they good enough to keep going?
I watched one or two with Kylie that I thought were pretty good that got canceled. One was Maniac, I think, with Jonah Hill that I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I know it came out like a couple years ago, but yeah, I was gonna watch that, but I just never did.
Yep. Yeah, and I think Friends from College was a pretty good comedy show that got canceled. Um, and I guess that's the thing with the movies. The comedies suck pretty bad, but there's been quite a few good comedy shows that I've watched in the past few years. And I guess, do you watch a lot of? Well, I don't know what to actually ask, but do you have a preference of watching TV shows versus movies?
Well, I mean they're very different. If a TV, if it, like there's only I don't know, not only a couple, but like they're very different. They're very different mediums. So like something like The Sopranos, where you're given like 6 seasons to have all these characters and the character development or the story development. I mean, that's completely different than a story that you have like a 2 hour time constraint. So it's they're very different, but like TV to me is either very good. I mean, it's either good or it's completely terrible. There's only a handful of shows to me that are actually very good, and the rest of them I will try, then I'll probably stop watching it. But like The Sopranos, The Wire, Breaking Bad, those are like the top shows. But as far as like comedy TV shows, I mean, I've seen the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development. I've seen those, I don't know how many times. The Office, The Larry Sanders Show. I've seen those just on repeat because I had the DVDs. And like, especially in high school, I didn't listen to podcasts or radio shows then, so I would just put them on in the background. And then I watched them so many times, it was just like background noise. Like I knew what was happening in every scene. But when I started listening to like podcasts or a couple radio shows, and I just kind of didn't watch a lot of TV anymore at night because I would just listen to like the Opie and Anthony Show, Ron and Fez, or Cumtown, or whatever other podcast. But so yeah, I really don't watch as much TV anymore like I used to. But I mean, Arrested Development, the first 3 seasons, It's Always Sunny, The Larry Sanders Show, those are still top, and Curb. Those are still like amazing and still make me laugh. I mean, those comedy TV shows are better than any comedy movie that I've seen. I don't know how long.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just because the comedy, I guess the right comedy medium is in TV show format than movies. I wonder if that has a big part of it.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, all right. So something like Seinfeld or It's Always Sunny. It's a comedy show. Like you're not like those characters. Like Larry David had the famous quote, and there's, I don't know where I read it, but like a couple of writers from the show said it in a couple of interviews, where Larry David would say, "There's going to be no learning and no development." And basically what that mean was the characters are just shitty people. We're not going to wrap it up in the end. These characters are not going to progress or learn anything. They're just going to continue to be shitty human beings. And It's Always Sunny took that to another level where that's like they're way shittier people than the people on Seinfeld were. In a movie, if you watch a comedy movie, there's going to be it might start out okay and it might be a couple jokes, but then you got to throw the love interest in there. The character's got to learn something. He's got to go through something. And then in the end, maybe he'll try to win the girl. And it becomes not a comedy at that point. Whereas in a 22-minute TV comedy show, if made good, like you can just throw insane shit in there and then just make it funny and then just move on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you don't have to worry about having this huge plot and storyline like you do in a movie. You just have a simple concept and you go with it for a 20-minute show. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there was literally an episode of Seinfeld, one of the most famous ones, where it was they see a hot girl and they're like, "All right, let's try not to jerk off." And whoever doesn't jerk off for the longest wins. That was an episode on NBC, and it was amazing.
Yeah, the contest.
The contest, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just funny. At the end of the show, they didn't go, "But seriously, guys, safe sex." Let's try to respect women, guys. Let's not jerk off to, let's not, I don't know. They didn't learn anything after, I guess, is the thing. That was the episode. Then the next episode, I'm sure something else happened, whatever else happened. But,
Yep, and then they don't even mention the last episode at all.
Exactly. Jerry dated a different woman in every episode. You'd never hear about this one of them again. It's just this is a person in this story. After this story is done, you're never going to hear from them again because it's not important. I mean, the Larry Sanders Show was very different than that, where it would kind of continue. But that show was very different. It was very funny, but it also was, I don't know, had some like deep stuff in it, man. But that show was very funny, but it was also
I don't think I've ever watched that show. When was that?
that was in the '90s. It was it's Gary Shandling's TV show. But I mean, Arrested Development.
Is that worth the watch?
I mean, I think so. It's different. Some of the jokes in it are kind of dated now because there was a lot of, not everything in it was topical, but there was definitely a lot of topical stuff in it for like the '90s. So definitely a lot of '90s references, but it is still funny and not everything. Not everything in it was topical, but I mean, it's very good. But like Arrested Development, that's a show where it wasn't really topical. It was just these characters, and it was insanely fast paced, and those characters weren't really learning anything. They were just idiots, and I mean, I don't know. The first 3 seasons of that show are amazing to me. The Netflix seasons I thought sucked, but what are you gonna do?
Yep. What are you gonna do? Over time, have you noticed? Do you think that movies and TV shows are getting just better and better and better as years go on, or do you think they're more timeless and that a movie from the '30s can be just as good as a movie now, and it's actually mostly linear over time with these great movies and shows popping up throughout time?
No, movies can definitely. There's movies from a long time ago that still stand. I mean, Citizen Kane still stands up. Sunset Boulevard, I think, was from like the '50s, and that movie's still amazing. I don't think movies are getting better. I think, if anything, they're getting worse because of the streaming. Not to take or try to quote Martin Scorsese's essay from earlier this week too much, but like he wrote in his letter or his essay, whatever you want to call it, he basically said streaming services are destroying movies. And his point was because these streaming services are just focused on the amount of content they can put out, they're not really focused. It's just a quantity over quality type thing, which I would definitely agree with. I mean, look, if you really look at Netflix, based on whatever your algorithm is, like it'll show you things that you want to watch. But if you dig deeper and actually go through like the categories on there, there's 20 feet of stuff that you would actually watch. But then there's 100 miles of garbage that's just like, who is watching this? Like,
Oh, and that's all stuff that's easy and cheap to make.
exactly. Yeah, it's all just terrible and just over the top corny and garbage and bullshit. And yeah, it probably cost $50 to make, and you're getting a bunch of nobodies in there, and it's just terrible. But yeah, every once in you'll still get a couple of good movies a year. Or Wes Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson both have a movie coming out. But then those are 2 movies. But then there's a million other ones that I'm never gonna see because they don't look interesting to me at all.
Yeah, I just thought of a funny example is on our Netflix right now. It keeps trying to, pop up for us to watch. The very first thing is some show, a glass blowing contest of people making glasses. Like, and they every single time they try to promote that. We don't want to watch people blowing glass. But yeah, they keep trying to get us to watch it.
I mean, yeah. So like, that's hilarious. Because I use like Corey and Liz's Netflix. I mean, it's not exactly like my algorithm for what I would watch, but I'll go through like the drama section or whatever movie categories that I would actually be interested in. But then the thing is, like, most of them on there I've already seen, and there's only like a couple that I haven't that I'd be interested in. And then by the time I actually decide on what I want to watch, I'm like, I don't have enough time. I'm just gonna go to bed. So then I put an episode of Come Town on, and I'm just like, yeah, well, nothing was accomplished tonight.
Yeah, I've done that way too many times of just scrolling through the queue and the lists for an hour and then not having any time to actually watch anything.
Yeah, like I'll go through periods of where it's like I just won't watch anything because I don't know, I just not in the mood or I just can't do it. But then there will be some periods where I'll be like, I just need to escape. I just need to sit here and just watch a story or something, or just let's start going through some things that I need or like that I've been wanting to watch for a while. So I'll just watch a lot of stuff. But then after that, I'll be like, yeah, I've seen a lot lately. I'm just gonna do other things, and then I just won't watch anything for like a week or two.
Yeah, and one of my questions was, do you ever experience burnout? And Kelly thought I was ridiculous for having that. I'm like, you can get burned out from watching too many movies.
Marital issues already the fighting. Jeez.
You've heard the proof.
That's a dumb question, John. It's my show. I'll ask what I want to ask. I'm just saying, it's stupid.
Yep.
Peaceful.
So yeah,
So,
so you
yeah.
do experience burnout then, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't know if it's burnout. I just don't. There'll be times where I just don't feel like watching anything, or like, I don't know, like, especially with work, like coming home from work. I usually get home around like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I mean, just as far as a time frame, like if I get home at 6 o'clock, I got to go to bed around like 10:30. So I have like 4 hours to do stuff. So it's like, well, I need to make dinner, probably have a couple chores to do. I should exercise. Not saying I do that, but I should. Maybe a couple days a week I will. Obviously, great improvements are being made. Not. But it's like there's only so much time to do stuff, and if I want to watch a good movie, I gotta have 2 to 2.5 hours, and I just don't have the time all the time. So if there's a weekend where I sit at home, yeah, that'll be a weekend where I'll get a lot of stuff in. But like today, I'm gonna drive to my mom's, and then I don't know what else. But then I'll drive home. But as far as
Oh, hold on. Kelly just... Oh. Yeah, we're doing the podcast right now.
hi, Kylie.
Yeah. Dave says hi.
Tell Dave to edit that out.
Sorry, Dave, where were we?
I don't know. Kylie rudely interrupted. I don't. No. I'm just kidding. But today, like I said, so today I'm gonna drive to my mom's, probably be there for a few hours, and then drive home. Well, drive time that's like 3 hours. Be there for a couple hours. By the time I get home, I'm just basically go to sleep. And tomorrow I'll probably watch maybe a movie or two, but I don't know. But like if I'm busy on the weekends, I'm not watching shit. If I sit at home all weekend, I'll probably get some stuff in, but I just don't have. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like I'm fucking insanely busy, but I just don't have the amount of time that I would like to do some of the things I want to do.
Yeah, it is crazy just how fast the day goes by. I got a ton of little projects that I'm trying to get some time in to work on. And yeah, on paper, I should have plenty of time every day to do all these projects, but it's like before you know it, it's 11 p.m.
Yeah, this whole 8-hour workday thing is not it's not true.
Mhm.
Like it takes me a half hour to drive there, but before that, I gotta wake up 45 minutes before that. Wake up, take a shower, get ready. Then you drive, then you go to work. Then you may have to stay late, and then you gotta drive home. So then it's like, well, fuck, my whole day is gone. and I don't have time to do a shit.
Yep, I hear you. A little off topic, but that's why at Dow I really liked how they actually had a 980 schedule where you work 9-hour days, but you get every other Friday completely off. And it's like that'd be great because it's like you're already, like we just said, you're wasting a whole day working anyway. You might as well just work an extra hour and then you get a full free day every other week.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a big yeah. I would much rather work a like a 10-hour shift Monday through Thursday and have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Because literally, like every day, like most days, not every day, but most days, I'm staying like a half hour, like 15 to 30 minutes late, anyways, just trying to wrap up and get stuff done. So it's like, but that's not part of my clock. So, or like, I'm still salaried, but it's not part of the hours that I'm supposed to be there. So doesn't count. But I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. Yeah, I probably work about, I'd say about 45 hours a week on average.
That's
So
why
maybe you
that's
could go.
that's why we should all just quit our jobs and just just do whatever we want. Who needs money? Listen, I'm taking Dogecoin to the moon. I just gotta wait a couple years for it to finally hit $1, and then I'm never gonna talk to some people again.
Well, I wish you the best.
Are you in Dogecoin?
No, I don't have any Dogecoin.
Oh, John, you gotta get on that. No, I sold mine. I'm back in it. But sorry, off topic. This is supposed to be a movie podcast. Well, I mean, you showed me one of your ideas. Have you wrote anything else?
For our film fest, I got a couple like really small sketches, really nothing to them. And that was the first big one that I made. So, no, not really. I've thought of some ideas, but ideas are pretty cheap. Actually getting it all wrote out is the hard part.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Have you ever do you have any? Not to steal one of your questions that you wrote down. I'm stealing a lot of stuff tonight. I was fucking referencing Scorsese's essay. I have no original thoughts. Taking one of the questions from your list about just movie ideas. Do you have any? Do you have you wanted to write anything or?
I want to write a movie I think would be fun, but as you were talking about earlier, just finding the time to do it. And in the end, I kind of ultimately know that once I have it all written out, I'm going to reread it a year later and be like, yeah, that sucked. That was a dumb idea.
Well, I mean, maybe not. Could be good. But I don't know.
Maybe. I guess what about you?
Yep, I have a couple. Yeah, I have a couple. During when I was furloughed, when I had a bunch of time, I did write a movie script just out of boredom, and I felt like I had an idea for a while. It actually stemmed from something that I wrote because I took a couple screenwriting classes when I was at Delta, and so I just kind of finally finished that. And I even tried showing one of the short film that I wrote that was made. Briefly watched a minute of that at Adams, and it was just terrible, so we shut it off. But that was just a terrible experience. I just hated every part of it.
I guess what did you hate about it?
So it was a screenwriting class, and we had to write 2 short film scripts. So every week the class would read a couple and then give notes on it. So there was the first one I made, or the first one I wrote, and people would act out the parts, and then somebody would read the directions in the script, and went over well in the class, and the professor, and the point of the class was like at the end of the semester, then the Delta Film Program would pick 3 of the scripts and then make them for the other film class. And so that one was picked. The other one that I wrote, well, first off, so the pacing was completely different from what I wrote, and it was ruined. Like the couple jokes, some of the jokes that I put in it were taken out, and other things were put in, and it made it awful. They added in like a whole part. It's a short film, so if you add in a whole thing, like it changes it pretty drastically. And it just one of the things they added in was just cringeworthy. It was just not funny at all. And it just everything that I had envisioned, they changed and ruined.
Yeah, that's gotta suck because that's kind of like your baby, right? And
If it was something
you love it, and then they just tore it apart.
even though like it was a minor thing, like it was literally a community college film program. So even though like it was a minor thing, like at the time it was still like a big thing for me because as someone that loves movies, like I wanted to see written by David Goward in the credits. And then after watching, so my time in it was done. I wasn't allowed to go visit them making it. It was just like, here you go. Like, thanks for writing it. We're going to go make it now. We'll let you know when it's done. I was like, well, I can't go watch it or like see, like be a part of it making. Like, I want that experience. So like, no, no, you can't do that. Like, what the fuck? So after it was done, they invited me to come watch it in like one of the rooms at Delta. I was like, okay, so I drove up there and I sat in the back of the room. They were all like kind of in the front. They're like, all right, well, this is the original writer. He was in this class, whatever. All right, let's show the movie, guys. And I just was like, this is fucking terrible. Not laughing in the back of the room. And then in the credits, it says written by David Goward and then 4 other people because they were part of the film program. And not only that, it was like, so like it usually goes directed by whoever, written by whoever, and then the credits go on.
Yep.
This was like directed by, edited by, director of photography, whoever, fucking extras, and then way down the list was written by, and then 4 other people that I had never met and did not know, and I was like, fuck this. And they were like, so what'd you think? So they all turned around and they're like, so what'd you think? And I was like, yep, all right, thanks guys, and I just left.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. Wow. Yeah, then you're disappointed because it's got your name on it, and they just completely ruined it. So now your name is on a bad project that you spent so much time and effort on.
I mean, again, it was a community college film program, so no one sees it. I'm pretty sure it. I mean, I don't know exactly, but it probably has like 15 views on Vimeo. So, and I thought that like I had to write 2 short film scripts for that class, and I thought the other one that I wrote was even like I thought that one was better, and it got. And when I say it got a 0 in the room, I mean it fucking dead silence in the room. Parts where it was supposed to be funny, you could just nothing, just coughed themselves, just waiting for the page to turn. And yeah, that was not a fun experience. I was very mad.
Wow. No, what we should do is for the film festival, we should remake both of them. So that way, the one that they completely ruin, we can be like, this is how it's supposed to look.
No. I bet it's a good idea, but no. We can come up with something better. I haven't, I had a couple couple ideas for the thing. I just don't know. Like, I don't know when. Adam never said when it was going to be. I don't know when I'll be able to actually put something together. So
I think it'll still be a few months out.
yeah, probably.
It'll be a while. But yeah, like I said, whenever you're ready to actually film something, or if you want me to read something you wrote, let me know, because I'll also do the same. Send you what I have, and then I'll need you to help me make mine.
Yeah, definitely do that.
But I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I thought the last one was pretty good. The ones that like Adam and Brennan made, those ones. I mean, some of them better than others, but I mean, it was still fun. It was still a good, fun time.
Oh yeah, for sure. One of the other questions I have is, do you have completion anxiety at all, knowing that you will never be able to watch all the movies in the world? So there might be a good movie out there that you just never watch in your lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's gonna happen. I mean, can't do everything you want to do. I mean, never gonna. Just going deep, John. There's never gonna. I mean, I'm never gonna be able to accomplish everything that I want to do or be able to do everything I want to do. But no, I'm sure there's gonna be things I'm gonna miss. I'm not gonna get around to doing or watching. Yeah.
Well, that's good you accept it. For me, it really scares me knowing that I will never be able to listen, or there'll be some great, especially with music, there'll be some great song or great artist that I just never know about.
Yeah, and it's also weird. It's
Weird
also
now.
weird when that does happen, where you're like listening to the same stuff, and then someone goes like it happened this week with some band. One of my coworkers shared with me like one of her Spotify playlists, and I was listening through some of it, and most of it I didn't like, but there was like one band on it where I was like, wow, this is really good. How the hell did I not hear about this band at all for all this time when it's like along the same genres that I like or the same type of music that I like? How did this band never come up? And it's just weird how some things you'll just never hear about.
Yeah. And meanwhile, most people just have the classic rock radio station playing 24/7, listening to the same 100 songs over and over their whole lives.
Are you saying, John, that you're tired of hearing "Sweet Child of Mine" for the billionth time? You don't want to hear Black Dog again, or Back in Black.
I just can't stand it anymore. In our shop floor at work, they have that playing all day, every day, and it's all those people have been in there for like 20, 30 years. It's like, you guys have been listening to the same 100-song playlist for 30 years. Like, dang. I would never be able to. I know that I think me and you are wired a little bit differently from most people, because everyone else just, oh yeah, I love this song.
Yeah, and it kind of goes. I mean, you kind of said it. I said it earlier, but like it's just the same thing. Like as far as just comparing the movie viewings with like the movie club with like, some of the coworkers, it's like they just watch the same boring shit. It's like, and then when I try to show them something new, they're like, "This is fucking terrible. This is awful. Why would you show me something like this?" It's like, well, have you fucking try something new? It's different. It's better than what you've. I mean, so it's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with music. So like, if you listen to the same fucking classic rock station every day, you hear the same songs, like you said, for 20, 30 years. You're not going to try listening to anything else. You just want the same sound for fucking decades. Nothing.
Yeah, even in the same genre. I mean, there's old classic rock songs that are really good that just don't have that airtime.
No, Guns N' Roses has 20 better songs. I mean, they probably have 50 better songs than Sweet Child of Mine, and that's the song that gets played on the radio. And it's like, no. No.
Yeah, crazy. One of the other questions I want to ask is, do you pay attention to any of the award shows like the Oscars or Sundance and watch the winners of those kind of shows?
I don't watch them. I mean, I'll look at like who won the next day and then just get mad at whoever won. I'll never. I mean, most of the time, I'll never agree with who won or whatever. Like every year, I'll say like, I don't. Who cares about that? Those are useless. They're dumb. Nobody cares about them. But then I'll wake up the next morning and be like, that won Best Picture. What the fuck? Like who? Why? Then I'll be like, oh yeah, I don't care. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you would pay attention to that or not, but okay. So let's see. Is there any other questions I missed?
You got a long list there, John. I'm sure there's stuff that we haven't went over yet.
Oh, one of the things, well, I guess you already kind of covered it, is that you have a big DVD collection from, I guess, do you still collect movies at all? Or just do streaming?
No, I don't. No, I don't buy. I don't buy DVDs anymore. There's no point. It's the same thing as there's no point in going out and buying a CD anymore. You can just use Spotify or whatever streaming service you use. I mean, there's no point in buying a DVD. You just either buy it through Amazon or watch it on your laptop or whatever. I mean, there's just no point. I mean, sure, it's like, yeah, you can make the argument of like, you're supporting the artists by buying it or whatever, but I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, and film really doesn't have a medium, kind of like with music, there's records, and a lot of people still collect records. There's no one collecting like VHS tapes or something like that.
I mean, I don't. I mean, yeah, there's probably people that do, but like, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna go out and buy a VHS because then I also like. But then there's also, I'm sure there's the argument you can make of like a VHS is not as high quality as streaming it on whatever or even the DVD. Whereas if you have like a very good record player, like a good like audio equipment system, like a record, depending on like what pressing or how good the quality it is, like it's going to sound way better than a streaming service compared to like a VHS is just a shitty piece of plastic that's not going to be as good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess on film there really hasn't been any medium that has not had to compress the movie at all or make it worse. So yeah, makes sense. Do you think you'll ever go to a physical film festival in the future? Like actually going someplace and watching movies with a group of people?
Um,
Or in my head, I think that's how it works, right? Like some of the like that Sundance and stuff like that. Isn't it? Is it like a physical gathering of people where they all go into these movie theaters and watch all these movies?
yeah, there's yeah, like stuff like that. As far like I know, there's a film festival in like Traverse City. I think actually it's Michael Moore's film festival. But then there's also one in Bay City that's more like indie, like local stuff. The Hell's Half Mile, where yeah, it's you go in like a theater and you watch movies. But I mean, who knows when that'll happen again?
Yeah, assuming everything goes back to normal, though. Do you think you'll?
Yeah, I
do it
mean,
for
yeah,
more
assuming
than
everything goes
this?
back. Yeah, assuming everything goes back to normal. Yeah, it'd be fun. Yeah, I mean that'd be fun to do. But I don't know.
All right. Yeah, you never gone to any in the past, though.
No, I almost nah. One year I was gonna go to the Hell's Half Mile in Bay City, but I just decided not to at the last minute. I did want to go to the one in Traverse City a few years ago, but again, just didn't do it. Didn't do it.
Yeah, that's good to know, though, that Traverse City and Bay City has the film festivals. Because I guess I kind of knew that. I know that Bay City has an outdoor projector set up, but I didn't know that they had like a little film festival there. And I didn't know anything about the Traverse City one either. So yeah, that'll be cool to check out sometime.
Yeah, the one in Bay City is like I said, that's a pretty like independent one. A lot of local stuff. Well, the one in Traverse City, I'm pretty sure that Michael Moore was one of the people that was a part of like creating it. And I think it's like a mix of like documentaries, like actual, just like regular structured movies, but then some independent, some kind of higher budgeted ones. And I think there's like a judge panel where like he'll invite some of his famous friends and yeah, we'll vote on whatever the one they like the best or whatever.
Oh, gotcha. One of the things that you said for the Bay City one is that there are a lot of local movies. I guess what do you mean by that?
Well, I know like the Delta Film Program, like they'll show like some of their shit at it.
Oh, like something like the show that you written that the actors performed. It'd be something like that.
Yeah, I mean mine wasn't shown there, but like yeah, like some of their stuff they'll show there, and yeah, it's very like independent stuff, very low budget. It's not big. It's not like a big film festival. It's like maybe like a day and a half, and but it's also like a mix of music and movies. So it's like local, like small bands, and then during the day, I think I've never been like I literally just read one of the programs one time, and it was like during the day they would show movies, and then at night it would be like music.
All right. Thanks, Dave. I think that about covers everything.
What are some of your
Is there any?
What are some of your favorite movies, John? Let's just get those out of the way. The people want to know.
Yes. Oh, are you asking me, or I was gonna say I should be asking you that.
No, I was asking you.
The tables have turned.
It's not your show anymore. This is taking it over.
I have that written down as a question for you, and I guess I never thought that I'd
You were wrapping it.
Answer myself.
Listen, you were wrapping it up, and I was like, okay, well, let's throw the question out there.
I'm sorry. That was one of the big ones that I wanted to ask you is for like 5 solid movies and like 5 solid shows like people should watch it right after this.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be just yeah. Well, you say yours, I'll say mine.
I really can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Oh my God, John.
I guess the How to with John Wilson and Nathan for You were 2 great comedy shows. And as far as movies, I just watched one that was pretty good a little bit ago. I forget what the name of it was. Yeah, I don't even remember. So, no, that's the whole reason why I had you on this podcast is because I don't know what are good movies and bad movies. Actually, I just watched War Games. That was a good show from the 80s, I think. 70s or 80s.
War Games.
War Games, yeah.
Is that on Netflix? What is that on?
Yeah.
I think I seen like the title of it with the title card on it, but I didn't see it yet.
But like I said, I don't really know good movies from bad movies, so that's why I would like to hear your recommendations for movies to watch.
Man, well, that was actually the only question that I wrote down some titles right before we started, because I mean, there's gonna be stuff that I probably like more, that is actually like that it's maybe a better movie or just a better or a more favorite of mine, but I just can't think of it right now. So these were the ones that kind of came to mind, and I just based it off of just like some of the, as far as the filmmakers, just stuff. So like, well, I don't know, maybe TV first. I mean, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Twin Peaks. And then if you want 5, I'll just throw a couple comedies. So just do the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development and probably It's Always Sunny, because it's just consistently funny over like 14 years. Well, not really consistently. There's a couple bad seasons, but they had like a 10 or maybe 12-year stretch where it was hilarious. But movies... So I picked a Scorsese movie, a Charlie Kaufman movie, a David Lynch movie, and then a PTA movie, and an Anderson movie, or a Wes Anderson movie. So, pick Goodfellas. The first two are my top, like top two. So probably my favorite movie of all time is Goodfellas because, like I said earlier, it is hilarious and it's a crime movie, it's a gangster movie. There's just I love everything about it. I think it's Scorsese's best movie. So Goodfellas is definitely my number one. Charlie Kaufman's movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's funny, but more than it just being funny, it's like a very good drama movie. It's very sad at times. It's a very original, good story. I, at the time, never saw anything like it. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. Actually, I brought that, cause there's a couple movies that, like I watched with the Harris family. I actually watched that movie with Corey and Colleen, and Colleen and Corey seemed to like it, and then Liz walked in with literally 10 minutes to go in the movie, and was like, "This movie stinks. I don't get it." I'm like, "Maybe because you missed the first hour 50 of it." She's like, "Nah, it's dumb." I'm like, "Okay." So the viewing of the whole movie was kind of thrown off, but I was like, okay, but no, that's definitely a favorite of mine. Just wanted to throw a Paul Thomas Anderson movie in there. I think every movie he's made is great, but I didn't really know which one to pick, so I just went with Boogie Nights because again, it is hilarious. It is so funny, but it's also very dramatic, and it is just a great movie. And one, yeah, hey, you've seen that one, right?
Yes, and I agree with you. Great movie. And now that I have this podcast in my mind, after watching Boogie Nights, I went, "Oh, that's a really good movie," and then that was it. But now I'll be able to listen or be able to watch everything else that he's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. So if you've seen that, I mean, I mean, I don't know. Every movie he's done is great, but I mean, There'll Be Blood. It's amazing. The Master is amazing. Punch Drunk Love is just great as well. Magnolia is great, but it's fucking so long. And then a David Lynch movie, didn't know which one to pick. I just picked Blue Velvet just because it's kind of like it's a good introductory movie to David Lynch. I feel like if you started off with Mulholland Drive or Eraserhead, you would probably not. Well, maybe you would continue, but you'd also be like, is this what every movie is going to be? And some of them are. But Blue Velvet is kind of a good introductory where it has like it's not totally surrealistic. It's not completely fucked up. There's definitely elements of it that are, but it is kind of straightforward for the most part. So yeah, definitely say that one. And then just as far as like trying to just pick like another movie that I definitely really like, and it's something that's also pretty original, I thought, and another like director writer that I liked. Wes Anderson, his movie Royal Tenenbaums. It's trying to pick between that or Rushmore, and I think
I don't think I've heard of either of those.
those are both really good. They're both definitely those are some of like his earlier movies, and yeah, it's a very unique style. He has definitely like if you see a Wes Anderson movie, you know it immediately just by the way that the camera is placed and the way the story is, or the pacing of it, the way the characters talk. Royal Tenenbaums, though, is probably my favorite movie by him. I just like it's very funny. Again, there's elements of drama in it. I mean, there's a lot of elements of drama in it, but it's also very funny. There's a lot of different characters. It's a faster paced movie. That movie actually, I think, definitely influenced Arrested Development, just as far as the pacing of it, the family structure of it, and then some of the whole character storylines. basically Arrested Development just completely lifted from the Royal Tenenbaums. Honorable mention, though, getting a little crazy here. Honorable mention, though, is a movie called The Piano Teacher. I don't know who the director is. It's a French movie. It blew my mind. Yeah, that movie was great. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on foreign movies, but The Piano, I don't know, and subtitles because you got to read it. But The Piano Teacher, it's from I think it's from like 2000 or 2001. That movie is fantastic.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you the same thing of what your thoughts are on the foreign movies. I don't obviously the subtitles and dubs are nearly as it does distract me a little bit, but overall I'd still watch them and still pay attention pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if something's good, I mean, I want to see it. I want to watch it, but um, I mean, I'm sure it's the same as our movies. I'm sure there's good ones. I'm sure there's shitty ones. So I don't want to read, a shitty movie for 2 hours. I'd rather watch something that's good. So the only like foreign movies that I've seen are like the ones that like have universal critical acclaim. I haven't really seen and sat down and watched some shitty movie that I decided to give a shot. Yeah, that movie is pretty fucked up. It's about this piano teacher who's like and the pacing of it, like it is so different than just a normal like American movie that you would see in the theaters. It's literally like the first like 40 minutes of it. You're just following this woman trying to figure out what the fuck you're watching. Shit, like it's some like uptight piano teacher, and then she just hates everyone. She thinks her students are hacks, and she's just this amazing piano prodigy. And then next thing you know, she's walking into an adult bookstore. She goes into like a video booth, and she starts watching a porno. And then she reaches down into like a garbage can where there's all these cum tissues. She picks up a tissue and just starts sniffing it, and then just walks out. And at that point, you're like, what am I watching? What is happening with this uptight woman? She just went in and grabbed some cummy tissue that some guy just jerked off in.
Wow.
And yeah, so it just goes from there. And no, it's definitely a very good movie. That was like another movie that like stuck with me where I was like, wow, I haven't seen anything like that. That was interesting. Pretty similar to like kind of what I thought. Not on the same level, but like just watching Eternal Sunshine for the first time, watching Mulholland Drive for the first time. Not that those movies are similar, but it's like, wow, that was something that I haven't seen before. And it just kind of sticks with you compared to like you said, Fast and the Furious. Like, wow, that was a car chase. Amazing.
Yeah, just almost like they're just on a different level from everything else completely almost.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to watch a piano teacher go to a porno theater and puke after she swallows cum and get raped and want a guy to shit on her, The Piano Teacher is your movie.
All right, yeah, I'm definitely watching it. Sounds great.
Sounds great.
No, for real though, I definitely am gonna watch all the movies that you recommended.
It's a glowing endorsement.
And one of the questions I see that I didn't ask yet, and it sounds like in general you're really into the mind-bending genre and maybe like old gangster movies. Are those genres that you prefer over other genres, or is there any other genres that you have a preference for?
Yeah, I mean, always a good mix of dramatic and some comedy is good, but it's got to be done right. Like, I mean, there's a lot of shitty fucking dramedy movies, but something like Eternal Sunshine, does it perfectly because the story is original and it is very funny, but it's also very, very dramatic. Something like Goodfellas, where it's a gangster movie, but it's one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen. So just it has to have a good mix. I mean, but yeah, I mean, after seeing like David Lynch movies, like that definitely made me wanna just go through his everything that he's done because I was like, I just love that style, and it makes me want to watch more like kind of the more like mind bending movies and just I'm not really a big horror fan or now not really the biggest comedy movie fan because I just am not good. But yeah, or also sci-fi. Not really a big fan of sci-fi either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Can't really. I don't know. It just doesn't. And it's weird because like I loved Twin Peaks. Absolutely loved it. And if you're like, and also the thing with that is I've read and heard the third season is actually considered a movie. It's just an 18-hour movie,
No.
not considered a TV show. And I was like, well, I would look at it as a TV show because it's literally based. It's the third season of Twin Peaks, which was a TV show. But if you are going to consider that a movie, then that's definitely going in my top 5. But I mean, I don't. It's not really sci-fi, but there's definitely maybe some elements of it where you're. But I don't know if it. I don't know if it is considered that or not. I mean, you're going to like alternate dimensions. Fucking Dale Cooper's in some weird space thing in the third season, floating through like time, and I don't really know if that's considered sci-fi. So like, I like that version of it, but I don't like aliens in a spaceship and lightsabers and that thing.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. It's something like I'm trying to think of a sci-fi movie that might be up your alley. Was something like Arrival? Was that a good sci-fi movie where they're trying to talk to the aliens?
I never seen it. I don't know what that is.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's your homework for today then.
Arrival.
Arrival. Yep.
Okay.
Because it's sci-fi, like you're saying, but it's not shooting up aliens and stuff. Like all it is the spaceships hover above Earth, and they're just sitting there. They're not doing anything. They're not attacking. They're just sitting there. And then it's a course of a few days or a few weeks, they're trying to communicate with these aliens in the spaceship, and all they do is the aliens make like this smoke circle, and by the way the smoke is shaped and stuff, they eventually figure out what they're trying to say. And that's kind of the premise of the movie, but it's not like, shoot them up kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. I'll have to check it out. Yeah. I'm just thinking more of like Star Wars or Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica. I just as soon as I see like a spaceship and like the makeup and I don't know, it's not my thing.
Yep.
Also, just like action movies, I'm just not a huge fan of. Like, I don't know, like I like Tarantino's movies. Like Kill Bill is basically like a kung fu movie mixed with his style. Like I like that, but I don't want to sit there and watch like normal kung fu movies. I don't want to watch like I liked Django Unchained, but I don't know. I haven't really seen that many westerns, but the ones that I have seen, I'm like, get to the fucking. I don't know. Just get to the fucking point.
I think it's just the Quentin Tarantino ones, like the Kill Bill and the Django Unchained. Like there's just so much meat on it. It's not so just one dimensional and all of a guy going through killing all the bad guys and then getting the girl at the end.
Yeah. It's definitely it's a lot different, but yeah, you're right. But yeah, I don't know. And I just like the huge blockbuster type movies. Those are just not mine. Again, shitting on Fast and Furious. I don't like those movies at all. Literally, I remember for Brad's birthday one year, he's like in love with those movies. So he wanted to go see like the Fast and Furious, 72 in theaters, and we all went as a group. I don't know how long ago this was. I think we were like maybe we were 16 or something. I fell asleep in the movie probably 15 minutes in. I woke up to him like elbowing me like, "Oh my god, did you just see that?" I was like, "Oh yeah," and he was like, "Did you just fucking fall asleep?" I was like, nope. Kind of made a scene in the whole theater. Brad's, yeah.
That just gave me another idea for a question, which is, are there some movies once everything gets back to normal, if there's someone that you're following closely, if they release a movie in theaters, would you like purposely go to the theater to have a better viewing experience than in your living room, or does it really not matter?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would definitely like the. It's yeah. I mean, you're supposed to see a movie in the theaters. You're not supposed to see a movie on your computer screen or on your phone or your tablet. You're just not supposed to. The way that the camera is, the lenses, just the way that it's shot, you're supposed to see it on a big screen. And just the seeing it in a theater, if it's like a good environment, you don't got people talking and fucking being loud and annoying with their phones out. Like that's the experience you're supposed to have. And as far as like a movie that I would want to see, the movie Dune by I don't even know fucking Villanueva or whatever the fuck his last name is. It's basically the newest version of Dune, which David Lynch did in '84, which wasn't the best. Definitely his worst movie. Not his style whatsoever. But the new version, they kind of released like a very short clip of it showing some stuff, and it looked amazing. But then also, yeah, like the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, the new Wes Anderson movie. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some movies coming out that I would want to see in a movie theater, but probably will just end up, like you said, just watching them at home, like just buying them on Amazon or something.
Gotcha. Do you have like a good home theater setup at all right now?
No, no, I need to buy a new TV. I've had the same TV for basically, I think, like the year after high school. I think I bought a TV. It's not even a big one. It's like probably like a 32 inch, I think. So yeah, definitely need a new TV. But yeah, I mean, it's the same. I mean, I would like I have records, but I have a cheap record player. I love movies. I have a not as big as a TV. I'm just not doing what I should, John. not living up to what I should. But you got a pretty decent like TV like where you, at your place.
Yeah, we got the big 55-inch TV, but I hate the speaker setup. I just got two speakers just sitting on the floor pointing towards the couch, and that's it. And I actually, just from a garage sale, I got kind of a surround sound setup for $20 or something. But I just got it up in the attic because that living room just does not have a great setup for where the speakers would go and stuff. So I just never really got around to it.
Oh, okay. I also think I think one of the main reasons why I like don't have like a decent setup is like I've moved like a lot in the last well not a lot, but I mean I've moved basically like every year and a half for the last like 5 years. Like I lived with my cousin for like a year, then I moved to a shitty apartment in Saginaw for like a year and a half, then I moved down here. I've been here for like a year and a half, and my lease is up in like June or July. I don't even know when. I should probably find that out. Um, but so yeah, like I just like everything. I just when I move, I just get everything set up in my apartment. I just leave it like that, and I'm just like, well, I'll probably have to move again in like a year, so why get everything set up when this might be just another temporary place.
Right. Yeah, and plus with it being an apartment, you can't really tear anything up to hide wires or anything. So.
Oh, I do anyways. Just I'm just kidding. Just put a couple holes in. Just put some posters over the wall and call it good.
Yep. So yeah, I can see in your boat it'd be hard to do something like that.
I'm telling you, with this Dogecoin though, finally, if it's $1, I'm buying a house and getting a nice setup. Everybody out there just needs to go buy Dogecoin. Just pump that price up.
That's right. It's almost kind of like a mini Ponzi scheme. I mean, it's good, but I mean, it's because it's like telling people to buy it, so that way the price goes up. But eventually, the price will go up really high, and then everyone's gonna drop it, and the people that bought it last will be screwed.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make money. I don't care if it's true as other people are.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
he's pretty selfish in that way. As soon as it, if it hits if it's not going to reach Bitcoin levels, but if it hits like anywhere near that, or even like $10 or something, I'll be ecstatic. But probably not. I was pretty upset though that it started as a joke cryptocurrency, so I don't really know how it works or what affects the price. It's probably a mistake to get into a type of currency that you don't understand at all. But I would like to make money. So
yeah, I wonder with Doggy Coin being a meme cryptocurrency, if people won't take it seriously enough for it to blow up like Bitcoin did. But I wish you the best though, so that way you can get that big house with a big movie theater room, so that way I can watch some movies with you.
that'd be pretty dope. Pretty dope.
I think that's it for questions. So
Sweet. Well, this was this was fun. I don't know if I said anything interesting, but yeah, hopefully it wasn't too repetitive or just me saying nothing. So hopefully it was okay.
no, that was really good. I learned a lot, Dave. So yeah, I really appreciate you doing the podcast, and like I said, yeah, learned a lot from you today. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks, John. What other episodes do you have coming up? Who else are you going to talk to?
So I got Kylie with accounting and the small business tax stuff. And then I have Corey for music. And then I have Brandon for graphic design.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Are you gonna have Hunter on? Hunter gonna talk about something? I don't really know what he would talk about.
If he has something that he's passionate about, then that's what we'll talk about.
I don't know.
Maybe golf carts.
Golf carts, chicks. I don't know. Adam, just I don't know, making up stories about having a girlfriend. Maybe talk to him about the long game, the long con. So how do you like lying to people about things?
Yeah, that'd be a great one.
I do love his little quote, "What's up, baby girl?" I love that, and I almost said it probably 20 times this week just to people. It's like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And then just want to turn around, "What's up, baby girl?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll get fired, so I probably shouldn't say that." So I just say it in my head and laugh, and that man, good little thing for him. But you can talk to Adam about maybe his film festival. I don't know that guy.
Yeah, whatever he's into, I guess. So yeah, no, I'll just say, yeah, no, thanks again for being on my first podcast, I know that I probably repeated myself a bunch and made a bunch of mistakes. But appreciate you being brave to be that first one to go through it. Thanks again, Dave, for being the first guest on the Everyday Expert podcast. Something that came up a few times throughout the podcast were examples of films being derailed by non-creatives in the movie-making process. I can only imagine the frustration that a director or writer feels seeing their work of art that they spent weeks, months, or even years on getting cut apart and watered down right in front of them. This reminded me of a book that I read a couple years ago called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, I think that's how you pronounce her name, from 1943. It is a fictional novel about an architect, Howard Rourke, and his struggles to have full artistic freedom in the design and building process without having any other architects or clients compromising his work. His friend Keating was the opposite of Rourke. He did not mind stealing ideas from other architects and letting his clients change elements of the blueprint at will. At the point of the book where this passage is from, Rourke was not getting any new clients due to his unwillingness to compromise his designs. So in his free time, he learned new building techniques, processes, and building materials to design the perfect affordable house that had just the right balance of functionality, design, and cost. Keating landed a contract for building a low-income subdivision, so Rourke showed Keating his design since it would be perfect for the subdivision. Keating was astounded at every little detail. The design was far more superior than anything he had ever seen before. Rourke said that Keating could have the blueprint and claim it as his own, but only if the final house matched the blueprint exactly as it was. If it deviated at all, Rourke would expose him as being a fraud. Keating agreed, taking the blueprints, thinking he just made an easy bet that would take off his career. But he was about to find out what it felt like to be in Howard Rourke's shoes. The changes in the drawings came gradually, a few at a time. The others okaying the changes came from headquarters. "But we're ready to start," cried Keating. "Oh, what the hell," drawled Gus Webb. "Set 'em back just a couple $1,000 more, that's all." "Now, as to the balconies," said Gordon Prescott, "they lend a certain modern style. You don't want the damn thing to look so bare. It's depressing. Besides, you don't understand psychology. The people who will live here are used to sitting out on fire escapes. They'll love it. They'll miss it. You gotta give 'em a place to sit out on the fresh air. The cost? Hell, if you're so damn worried about the cost, I've got an idea where we can save plenty. We'll do without closet doors. What do they need doors for on closets? It's old-fashioned." All the closet doors were omitted. Keating fought. It was the kind of battle he had never entered, but he tried everything possible to the honest limit of his exhausted strength. He went from office to office, arguing, threatening, pleading, but he had no influence. While his associate designers seemed to control an underground river with interlocking tributaries, the officials shrugged and referred him to someone else. No one cared about an issue of aesthetics. What's the difference? It doesn't come out of your pocket, does it? Who are you to have it all your way? Let the boys contribute something. He appealed to Ellsworth Toohey, but Toohey was not interested. He was busy with other matters, and he had no desire to provoke a bureaucratic quarrel. In all truth, he had not prompted his protégés to the artistic endeavor, but he saw no reason for attempting to stop them. He was amused by the whole thing. "But it's awful, Ellsworth. You know it's awful." "Oh, I suppose so. What do you care, Peter? Your poor but unwashed tenants won't be able to appreciate the finer points of architectural art. See that the plumbing works." "But what for? What for? What for?" Keating cried to his associate designers. "Well, why shouldn't we have any say at all?" asked Gordon Prescott. "If we want to express our creativity too,